All right, so you've made it pretty far, like I said at the end of the last video, and now we're going to move into a bit more specialized topics that you can kind of pick and choose from based on what your particular needs are or what you really want to learn for going ahead mapping. Or if you're looking to just become a mapping expert, just go through them all and maybe even hop into another course that's a bit more specialized after this. I'm not going to go any more into actual like web development basics, but maybe in some of the videos that will follow, we'll end up hitting on, well, we'll definitely end up hitting on some more complex things to do with JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, just because of the nature of some of these are going to require that. We're also going to be talking a bit more about just more complicated features of these mapping libraries, particularly Leaflet and MapLibra. So just as an introduction, you can see on the screen a few of the things that we're going to be going over. We're going to be jumping in and doing a video on each of these things, like loading data from a spreadsheet. Now, last time we took a spreadsheet, we turned it to a CSV, we turned it to a JSON, but what about when we just want to load it directly from a spreadsheet, and like as the spreadsheet updates live, it changes the data on the map, right? What about spatial analysis? We did some stuff with turf, this bounding box thing. What about more complicated types of spatial analysis? Hover effects, heat maps. You've definitely seen heat maps. We kind of made something like a heat map in our McDonald's example, but not quite. What about custom icons? Like if you don't want to use the normal marker that you find, that's a very common use. Animations, legends, geocoding, if people want to search for a location, or geolocation when you want to put the user's location on the map. Toggling data on and off, things like categories, turning categories on and off. So that's all stuff we're going to touch on. Things that we're not going to do and that we didn't do, and we won't in this course, are working on databases. So like spatial databases. I feel like that is such a big subject for someone who's new to web development that it's just too complex. But data development and management is too big for this course. But if you're going that way, a couple useful things you can look up would be PostGIS and PostgreSQL. Those are going to help you kind of develop different databases based on spatial data and spatial analysis. We didn't talk about how to create your own tiling server. So we talked a lot about tile sets and like the base maps and that sort of stuff, but we're using them as other people have created them. We're not like generating our own sets of images or whatever type of data and loading it. Too complicated. Again, I don't even know if I've ever done that myself, although I've helped a lot in creating them with other people. Working with frameworks. Now, we've just used jQuery and some very basic JavaScript. We didn't get into React. We didn't get into Angular, but these are common things. Vue, Angular, React, these are all things that are being used across to kind of organize JavaScript code. And I'll probably be making another course on React and mapping specifically. So if you know that React is a direction you're going to go in, that's probably worth checking out. But otherwise, yeah, we're not going to talk about specifically integrating mapping with React. We also aren't talking about creating APIs, which is kind of like a little bit like database. We're not talking about how to get data out of a database and query something in a programmatic way. I just think it's too complicated. So I think they're good. Those are all good topics for you to hit more specialized courses on those. But I think at least this course has given you the backbone that you can use to, has given you the basics that you can use to launch into those courses or launch into more complicated topics. So some of what you're going to see, we're going to do with MapLibra. Some will be with Leaflet. They might vary quite a bit between them, so I might do both. For instance, with geocoding, it's a completely different thing between the two. I'll also point you towards some YouTube videos that I've made. I have a YouTube channel where I talk a lot about mapping stuff and also just make like mapping related content. So I'll point you to some of those for certain of these videos, or I'll just be uploading the video from YouTube directly because it just goes over the concept and I don't need to double up and do the exact same thing more than once here. But I still think it's helpful to just like include it in the course so you kind of have it all together as one big package. So yeah, so hopefully this is all helpful and we'll see you in whatever video that you hop into. And thanks again for taking the course. See you next time.